Cali Trolls casted in away from Golden Glue. No big surprise there. See what else these guys want to get rid of.
Yeah, a lot of bans go towards Cali Trolls all the time. As Vladimir gets banned out, which doesn't sound like something that's very common, but it is against him. And the Gragas being banned out here is not unsurprising because teammates are practicing a lot of Gragas Yasuo compositions.
Well, Lulu goes away from Rux as well. I know his Shyvana is one to be a bit fearsome of, even though we don't see her all that much in the recent history. Braum away from Dodo, so no big tank line in the bot lane either, but there are plenty of tanks still to play in the top lane, and to me, I think that's actually an important thing to have in a team composition. Morgana already banned away, and insta-lock in there, the Yasuo for Golden Glue.
Yeah, steal it away, make sure that they don't get it on the side of teammate, and at the same time, there isn't a whole lot left to assist the Yasuo in knockups. Lulu's off the table, Gragas off the table, Braum off the table. You're going to have to go with the jungler. You might have to look at some other lanes too. Maybe Lee Sin will come in there, but they're going to steal it away. Just another one, you can just take some resources away from that Yasuo. Yeah,
my thought of synergies would be like Shyvana, Lee Sin, Nami would be the ones you look at there. The interesting thing is teammate actually banned Morgana themselves, which is an interesting choice there. I don't know if you necessarily need it so much, but they want that away from Sheep either way. And teammate considering, do you steal away the few knockups that are left as common picks? And you say, how deep does the champion pool go in terms of knockups?
I think what you do here is you take Lee Sin and you take Thresh away because it's Sheep. You don't give Thresh to Sheep just haphazardly alongside a Yasuo. He's able to set up the last breath very, very cleanly, very easily. And if they have other priorities, you know, that's fine too, because there is a fact that Lucian is currently disabled.
True.
So hyper carries are all in right now.
Except for the Corki, and we've seen the winning lanes.
He's the lane bully that's left. People aren't going to Caitlyn, they're going straight to Corki.
I actually wonder if we're going to see, if Corki gets banned out, people do go back to Caitlyn there, or some of the other aggressive lane pushers. Like even Sivir, I think, is a good matchup against Trist personally. But they pick up two knockups. The ulti's there from Lee Sin. Tristana going to be grabbed for teammate, though. I wonder if they pull a curse and they run double AD. I think it'd be fun.
Hey, man. Slushy, former AD carry player.
Right.
He's in the mid lane now, and he's picked that role up fantastically, to the point that a lot of pros are praising him.
He's doing pretty well for himself, but Team Coast are going to get the Thresh here for Sheep, so that's going to be a bit scary then for Maple Street down to the bottom lane. Santorin is going to grab Elise for himself. And Coast not immediately rushing all their knockups, though.
Yeah, they're just kind of keeping some of them hidden. I think Shyvana, like you said, might be what goes out for Rux. But at the same time, the way that teammate operates is they will always last pick their top laner into a counter matchup. Cali Trolls is the shot caller, the team captain that makes those calls on what's going to happen in Champions League. So either he first picks something that's a high priority, like a Lulu Gragas, or he last picks something for a counter pick. They don't last pick their mid. Slushy, they think he can go even win a lot of matchups with Orianna or Twisted Fate. But instead, they wait for him to get that last matchup. So he might go with a Mundo into a Shyvana. He'll look for something.
We'll see what he does look for in this one. A bit of a shout out to probably there, the Annie hover. Oh, actually, no, they pick it up, though. That's going to be Dodo actually playing Annie, but out of the support lane.
I actually kind of like that because the fact that the lane bullies are out right now, the support is kind of the new lane bully that has to take care of the hyper carry. And this will set up some team fights later on, but also during the laning phase, the extended range is really good for harassment.
Yeah, and you got to consider there's so much gank follow-up now. Imagine Lee Sin comes up and there's just an immediately locked-in stun from Dodo. Life gets painful there if your team goes bottom lane, and that actually speaks a little bit to the Morgana ban. It is hard to Black Shield Annie, but it does let you get away from the gank sometimes. Team Coast can make their choices here. Golden Glue, you know him as a big assassin player, typically, but he's branched his champion pool out since then. Twisted Fate for Slushy, and is it going to be Xerath against it?
I think it's going to be Golden Glue on Yasuo. We've seen him on Yasuo before, where he will push hard, and if he gets behind, they put him on a side lane and just have him farm until he's ready to join the fights.
And they actually do go for the Caitlyn, though, interestingly enough. So Mash does want to lane bully. He is going to try to get out of range of Dodo here. The Rise goes top lane. I don't know why I forgot that Yasuo was picked up. Yeah. A little silly in that one, but hey, teammate get to counter pick top lane.
Yeah, so they don't go with a setup in terms of what they're going to do for the Yasuo. Instead, they're like, all right, you have Thresh, that's fine, that's all you need. We're going to go with picks that go and destroy most laners right now. Now, there's some things here for California Trolls that he can fall back on. He does love the Fizz, but he can't pick that into Rise. He does love Vladimir, it does okay. But then when you hit these power spikes, Rise is already ahead of you by that time. Yeah, and that's going to be a tough situation to be in. And all the other conventional mage tops are gone for now. We'll see what he goes for in this one. 20 seconds to make his choice. Kha'Zix was buffed recently. Maybe that one works as a matchup here. Of course, we've seen top lane Lee Sin before, though I've not seen that work well against Rise either. I do want to talk about the...
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be like top Annie.
He goes top Rammus. Shout out to like Korean solo queue.
Why
the
not?
TP top laner.
Well, hold on.
Man, it could be a Lee Sin top. He has played it before, and then they go with the global composition of Twisted Fate Nocturne. So yeah, it was a Lee Sin, and they make that change in the mid game.
They decided Lee Sin top was good enough to fight up against Rux here. I do want to see how this pans out though, because in my admittedly much worse as a player experience playing Rise or Lee Sin up against Rise, it hasn't gone well for me. So CaliTroll's better than me, but I want to see how the matchup goes because you get locked up and you can't follow up your damage anymore.
Well, I think Rise is probably better than your opponents that you were playing against as well.
That's true.
I think Rux, sorry. They both start with Rs.
Yes.
Anyway, the big thing here for me is actually Team 8. Like, I gave that little bit of information that CaliTrolls will usually always last pick his champion. Coast knows that by now, too, because they've played against each other a lot. They use that information to their advantage. They're like, yeah, this Lee Sin's actually going to CaliTrolls. And
chance.
It's funny, too, because they selected their champion at the same time. So they had the Lee Sin on Porpoise Pops, as opposed to having it on CaliTrolls when they locked him in. So.
I've actually seen that mind game before. Back when Curse first did their Tristana grab, I believe they also had that same situation where the Tristana wasn't locked in by Void, even though he could have.
Yeah.
So the really subtle mind games of who locks in champions, sometimes it matters in a competitive environment where you know who's standing where, but that's basically custom games only. So, no setups for Yasuo, really. But they go for the first pick there, and it's going to be Golden Glue looking to go as big as possible on a big assassin. They've picked largely for the lanes, I think is something you can pretty faithfully say is true, but they've got a late game to fall back on, so Coast lineup does look pretty good.
Yeah, I like the lineup here from Coast. The Yasuo, the Rise scale extremely well, and then they have some lane bully potential with Santorin roaming around. Santorin, I'm going to quote him on this too. He said, "I hate it when people ban Elise and Lee Sin from me, because I want to go and fight the enemy jungler, and no other jungler does it as well in my hands as Elise or Lee Sin." So he's like, just let me have those champions so I can go invade you level 3. And we saw it last time we saw Coast. They did exactly that with Santorin and ran away with the game.
I'll see if they can do that again here, because he's gotten the champion he wants to play. CaliTroll's going to spot Rux up in here.
Takes the
Q lands. Oh, the damage coming through. Look at that. Good amounts of pain coming across. Yeah, okay, early game it's going to be just fine for Lee Sin. I'm talking about when Rune Prison comes in.
That's some pain right there. Rux took the overload very early on.
Yeah, you wouldn't not do that, I don't think.
Yeah. Taking Rune Prison level 1 is if you're going to go for an invade. It's a very low duration stun or root.
0.75 seconds, I believe.
Yes, and then it just scales up by, I think, about
quarter second.
0.25? Yeah.
Yep, quarter second per rank goes up to 1.75.
Anyway, a thing here that is very familiar if you guys have watched the Challenger series at all, but if you haven't, I'm going to cover it for you. Team 8, last time we saw them, they played a Nocturne Twisted Fate composition back-to-back. The last 2 games we saw them, they ended up playing it and just going bonkers with it. Their rotations were right on point. They had CaliTrolls in the top lane on Lee Sin occasionally. They know how to make moves with this composition and make an advantage early that they transition into team fights.
Well, speaking of making an advantage early, Team 8 have the potential for a 3-buff start right here. You're seeing the top laner helping Santorin start at the blue buff, but Team 8 are going to have a 3-man invade there with their duo lane plus CaliTroll. So not only are they lane swapping to dodge Lee Sin versus Rise, but here's the invade, and he's already got a stun ready, and out they go.
That's perfect play by them as well. The execution of that, the delay, and the fact that it's Lee Sin alongside these 2 others up against a Rise and a Caitlyn lane bully. Avoid the lane. You don't have to play right into their hands into an unfavorable matchup, and they are going to get a 3-buff start off of that.
And look at these sort of poise here by Porpoise Pops. He realizes that he's going to get attacked a little bit there. He saw Thresh come in, decided not to risk getting caught out. Don't risk getting hooked. Don't risk getting comboed. Just leave, clear your camp later, get level 2 off of the Wraiths, and then CaliTrolls can simply help him double jungle and grab the red. 3-buff start. Very, very well played by Team 8.
Yeah, I like that start from them, but the question is what they do with it. Cali is taking a lot of damage from this red.
He'll switch tanking soon, I hope, for his sake.
He's being a buddy.
All right, there we go. Both on level 2, though. This is the cool thing about the 2-buff start there that they got at the very, very beginning. CaliTrolls got solo XP on the golem they stole away, which means actually no benefit to Dodo and Maple Street, aside from being unopposed in their lane.
Well, another thing, too, is that you put Rux on Rise behind, so that his power spikes come a lot later, and since Rise buys the Rod of Ages, it's time-based once you get the item. So even if he gets that item, it's like, oh, I finally have enough gold for it at 20 minutes, it's not going to be full power until 30 minutes. Yep. It's a static, no matter how well you're doing. But the earlier you get it, the earlier you hit those spikes.
And right now, it looks like Rux actually does want to stay in this lane. one of the patch changes I really enjoyed was the increased experience range. I've heard Skara say he thinks the change wasn't enough to make top laners be able to sit in lane. But we're seeing right now the fact that Rux will be absorbing some golden XP in the new one-on-one. The Annie roam from Dodo right now not going to pay off, gets pinged out and walks away.
We see this all the time from Dodo. He leaves Maple Street 1v1ing on top, and then he goes and tries to make a play on a roam.
Calitroll slowed out, has to walk away, does dodge the Piltover Peacemaker. And you're seeing Lee Sin, I feel like, has a much harder time in a lane matchup like this, but he's going to get whatever gold he can.
He's going to try to just soak experience, not take damage, but the hooks from Sheep and the long-range harassment from Mashme are actually coming up pretty big right now. He's below half HP. He's going to need some protection because Santorin has his eyes set on that. And he's got Repel.
And thankfully for Calitrolls, though, he does have a friend coming in there. Cali's actually going to spot the Elise, gets Cocoon, has to jump away, will get away, but the hook is going to hit Porpoise Pops, who does block that with his own spell shield. So teammate do get away, but it's another minion wave lost to the turret that teammate don't get.
Yeah, he had really good presence of mind there from Porpoise Pops. Dodo is actually on the side of Golden Glue.
Perfect wind wall, though. Flashes, but Annie goes in. Anyway, do they have the damage? I don't really think so. So Summon is burned by Dodo, but he didn't get anything for that.
Yeah. You see both junglers down the bottom lane, so there isn't going to be any reinforcement in this mid lane yet. And they're going to get some damage on this turret. Dodo, he's probably going to roam bottom and just provide some extra cover so they don't lose the turret. They love to leave Maple Street in one-on-ones.
Well, he'll be reasonably okay against Rise here, who's not going to want to fight him in any really stretch of the imagination, but I just don't know if Dodo's going to do much in something like this. And also, I mean, with the lane swap again, Rux is basically in a free farm scenario. Like, maybe he misses some CS under the turret, but largely he's getting solo XP without missing a beat. Calitrolls is actually forced to back away, chug extra potions, maybe hide, and that's honestly not great for Lee Sin.
Yeah, he's going to have to split experience among two other members of his team. Porpoise
gets hooked, gets Cocoon, big damage comes out, 100 health! The trap came in as well! Repel goes the other way, first blood goes to Sheep though. Calitrolls wants in though, trying to get the slowdown, trying to get the damage. Ward hops, picks up a kill, now can they keep going? Flash Flay goes in, Calitrolls makes that a second death for the team, and Team Coast starting out well.
It's only a 200, 300 gold difference though, after that fight when it's all said and done. But what are they gonna get from it? We see they lane swap it back, Maple Street on his way down bottom to defend this turret, because they just can't hold off long enough against Caitlyn.
Yeah, so he went and recalled off the pickaxe there, wants that to maybe cement a lane advantage. Problem is, Mash got a kill and an assist. He's got plenty of gold for himself. And the thing is, he won't be very far away from a BF sword if he actually waits here. And in fact, there it is.
BF sword versus pickaxe.
That's rough.
You don't have to be a mathematician to figure that one out.
BF sword wins.
Ah,
yes!
Thank you. I didn't actually know the answer. I just made a very cryptic message so you can solve it for me.
Don't worry, I got you covered, man. It's what duo casts are for. If you don't know which one's higher between 25 and 50, just ask your friend.
Yeah. Thanks, Phreak. And now, early dragon being done here. About 6 minutes, a little later than lane swap dragons we see at 3 minutes 30 seconds. But where's the information?
Wow, there isn't any. Look at that. Team 8 very cleanly sneaking the dragon, and Slushy is backing right on off. And off of his lane, and just, hey, helps take that one down. Dodo 8 tanked it, but he's going to stay alive. Very nicely done.
When everything's all said and done, Calitrolls is pretty much the same level as Rux in the top lane. He held parity in CS a bit, because Rise is absolutely abysmal at CSing under turret. He doesn't have enough auto attack damage to finish off melees. He's got to use some Qs. His mana costs early on in the game.
Yeah. I guess I am still just personally surprised because I would feel like Q and W are good enough that you'd get
you use too
at
much
least
mana,
half.
though.
Yeah, and apparently that's the case there. It's not what I expected, but hey, I've been proven wrong there, so you're going to see these guys.
He's going to be fine now.
Be equal. Yeah, he's got tiers, so whatever, but now I get to see the matchup, the Lee Sin versus Rise. Santorin going to grab blue buff for himself, took his time with it, but that's okay.
Yeah, when you don't get your first blue buff, you want the second one. So you can go ahead and get that level 6 at about the same time as the enemy jungler. Speaking of enemy jungler, Porpoise Pops. His blue, it took a little longer to clear out, so we'll be back later. But when he hits 6, he's going to look for a gank with that Nocturne ulti. Slushy, level 7, able to roam around with the Destiny. They're waiting for the combo. TP still available on Calitrolls, and there's no dragon. So I don't know if they'll actually make a move immediately unless they can get a turret off of it.
Well, they have burned the summoners away from Sheep, so the Thresh has nowhere to go. So just going back to bot lane, Caitlyn can't really help him either. No summoner heal up, so I feel like you track the fact that you took Sheep's summoners rather, you know you got Flash Flayed, and you say, just kill him, get more gold on Maple Street.
Yeah, you want to blow some of those summoners in the bottom lane too, because Mash is just being a huge bully. Oh, there's the TP.
TP from Calitrolls. He wants it before even TF shows up. There's the Destiny. The kick sheep in. He's got absolutely nowhere to go. Sushi doesn't even gate in. He realizes it happened.
And doesn't even get an assist for that. Uses the ultimate and doesn't leave the lane because he can't. Golden Glue would push this in and he'd be denied an entire wave and then some.
Yeah, well, that's fine for Slushi, though. He's actually been doing pretty well in the matchup overall. You're seeing him plus about 8 CS right now. Golden Glue looking for some more aggressive
Santorin.
Wow, right in the front. Maple Street losing a bunch of health. Thankfully for him, does not take the Q in the face. Walks away.
He takes a big chunk of damage, though, and that's going to back him off from continuing to CS and make a little shop visit. I don't think he has enough for a BF sword just yet, so he's going to come up short on that one.
That's pretty unfortunate for the Tristana, but we're going to see what she does go for. Goes for Zerker Greaves. I don't personally love that on Trist. I do understand it, but that's more, to me, is more of a Caitlyn item. That she will be using the extra mobility to try to be able to weave in and out of auto attacks, dodge some hooks, and honestly, attack speed's still a decent stat on an AD carry, even early game.
Yeah, and the fact it's going to multiply his AD, it's perfectly fine for him. In the top lane, though, we see the Hydra here for Calitrolls for the wave clear. When you wave clear on a Rise, though, it's kind of a nightmare for him.
What I really do like about getting an early Hydra, and the fact that he's gotten that kill, the assist, the Dragon Gold as well, is as soon as you get Hydra, you practically full heal off of taking out a minion wave. And so even if Rux bursts him as Rise, he just presses E and the active item button, and his health goes right back up, and he's actually pretty safe.
He can also use the Iron Will on top of it.
Exactly. Well, yeah, you add the spell vamp in, and then you're pretty much good to go the whole rest of the way.
Whoop. Threading the needle. Santorin actually just stepped forward, too. He's like, oh, no, nope, not going to happen. Santorin off on the wings. Porpoise Pop still has his ultimate available. Santorin no flash for a little bit, so if he does get collapsed on, he'll have to repel and hopefully get a lantern out. But no, he's not even going to go for the game. But Porpoise might.
Porpoise just may. He is waiting around. And the thing is with Team 8 is they've actually kind of used their globals asynchronously. We have yet to see a Paranoia come out. Destiny most of the way back up. And the teleport a while to go still. Actually, it won't even be up for Dragon either. So I want to see how Team 8 uses the globals when they've only got 1 or 2 up at a time.
Yeah, 1,500 gold lead now for Team 8. Even across the board. The disparity, though, a little bit of the CS. And also at the same time, it's that Dragon.
I think a lot of it snowballed off of the early jungle game as well. The fact that Porpoise Pops, his Lizard Elder's already done. He had actually finished some items a bit sooner. He just seemed to be ahead of Santorin, who, to be fair, had that really good gank in the bot lane, but otherwise, I feel like he's playing catch-up.
Well, there's also another thing, too, is that Santorin loves to bully you on Elise. You put him behind early, he can't do and make the same moves.
Yeah. It's like if a 2nd grader's trying to bully a 6th grader. Just, yeah, you might be aggressive, but it's not going to happen.
That's not being mean. That's just...
That's being silly. Yeah. It's not going to work. The guy's twice your age, practically.
Being dumb.
As is the case with Nocturne. Nocturne is apparently a 6th grader this game. Oh. The more you learn on the Challenger Series, Golden Glue has been really good on his wind walls, though. I've seen him block a point-blank gold card this game so far. And that is a thing to keep in mind, is he's actually holding up well against Slushi, but can he do anything outside of the lane is the test I want to see.
Porpoise Pops, does he check the pink ward? No, he puts a ward down, and he is going to check it.
He attack move into the brush. Good move.
And he makes it so he can speed his way out. Meanwhile, Santorin.
Damage on a Slushi. They trade stunts. They're going to stop moving for a short time. Porpoise Pop puts the spell shield down, blocks the knock, but here comes Caitlyn. There comes the hook and the ulti as well. Look at the beautiful play there from Golden Glue and the rest of the company getting the kill.
You know, he could have gotten out by using Paranoia onto Santorin.
That's true.
That would have been super smooth, but at the same time, they're all collapsing on Santorin.
Stun's going to land. Damage going to come through. They're trading kills back. Maple Street gets the kill credit on this one. A 2-0 AD carry, despite the bad item start. They're going for a turret.
They're going to continue to push this down. This basically Team 8 just has a formula for what they do. They'll collapse middle when they hit that mid game after some early game pressure getting a dragon. Now, kick back Golden Glue.
They're going to find that. Dodo shows up, flashes and timbers backwards to make sure they catch Golden Glue. But hey, the kill happens either way. A couple of flashes for it, but map control Team 8. They lose top outer for it, but that's worth it.
Hey, Dragon's up 2 right now, and they have Porpoise Pops back alive. He has his ultimate available and Smite. Santorin now crawling back to that area. Can they fight it? There's a lot of ultimates down here. Golden Glue not available either. He doesn't have TP. He's got that mid lane ignite.
Oh, the hook on a Cali Trolls, though, Sheeps, I don't think you left that brush just yet.
He can take it. He always takes it.
He does, and you know what? He might just live because of it, and that's going to be okay. Dragon does go through. However, Cali Trolls does give up the chance to defend this first wave under the turret, so he'll miss out on a little bit of golden XP, but heck, he just kept leaving his lane. He's 2-1-1. It's going just fine.
Love how Cali Trolls plays, though. There's never a dull moment when he thought they said. He lands Q, like he's not gonna. Oh, he took it.
Yep.
What is he doing in the middle of the team? At the same time, though, he's got that Hydra completed now, and he's going to be able to continue pushing that top lane back out against Rux.
Yeah, honestly, now that he can clear the waves away, it will allow him to more readily play that same style. Like, Ryze is not the fastest pusher without using his ultimate, and that itself has a cooldown, as low as they are for Ryze. And so, yeah, Cali Trolls can run in, clear a wave or two, get out there, keep making these aggressive moves he's been trying to, and basically dodging the laning phase.
Rod of Age is completed for Rux. He's going to go bottom now and just leave Cali Trolls to pushing. Cali Trolls fast pushes, he might need a response. The way that he's pushing right now, he seems kind of slow. He's not being overly aggressive. He doesn't have the ward coverage.
It's interesting to me, yeah, but it looks like there's just nothing to play for, really. I mean, the problem is the blue buff, I believe, not going to respawn for some time. I think it just got taken recently on the western side of the map. Dragon's, of course, gone, and mid-outer turret's already out as well, so I think if they want to push somewhere else with Cali Trolls, they've got to set up the wards to make sure they don't get flanked if they go for top outer. I think that would be the next easy place to be aggressive for teammate, is that top left turret.
They're kind of folding back in on themselves right now because they don't have ward coverage really deep on the top side. They set up a little bit for Dragon. They gave up some turrets because Rux is now freed up, and Cali Trolls is trying to freeze / kind of push. He's not causing a lot of pressure. Coast has some opportunities now if they get a catch.
Wow, they just did it on a Dodo. There comes the Lantern as well. Big burst coming through, and Dodo is going to fall. They trade lives, though. Both supports going away. Maple Street low on health, though.
Slushie.
In comes TF. Slushie's got a Ghost and Flash away, but Rux is one hit from dead. Putting up the gold card, stunning Santorin, still trying to run. Maple Street nearly gets the damage, but Mash definitely does. Kills the AD carry. Now Cali Trolls shows up, but he'll trade his life for 2, which is worth it, and overall, 3 members die on both sides.
Just a crazy bloody fight there. No TP used for Rux, and he's going to go for it.
The knock up, the ulti, and Maple Street has gone. Yep, that's going to be another one picked up. I don't know what that sound was, but it is Golden Glue with a double kill.
Golden Glue gets Yasuo all of the time, and I don't know why people give it to him. They're going to get a turret off of this. He's just so aggressive. It plays right into his style. He was known for his Akali play, for his Zed play, for just his crazy assassins you talked about in Champion Select. And man, he gives Yasuo pretty much the only relevant melee AD assassin in the game, meta, and he just destroys with it. There's a lot of just collapsing here. We see Slushie come to the back line, TP in from Cali Trolls all the way in the back, but now they're trying to peel off because they aren't close enough. Cali Trolls runs up, he ends up getting Rux eventually with a kick, gets Santorin, and then he gets picked off at the very end. Golden Glue eventually just has his Steel Tempest completely charged, goes in with a flash, sweeping wind, picks it up with the last breath afterwards. Amazing, well-calculated play there from him, and we thought it was 3 for 3, 5 for 3, and a turret.
Exactly, that turret was actually a big one. Team Coast now up 3-1, and they've brought the gold back within 400 here. We've got to really commend some great play by that team. And now you got to see Golden Glue is the guy to watch here, man. He is 4-1-0, 139 minions, highest on his team. He has got to be the richest member on the blue side.
And you got to love his boot choice, too. But here comes Rux, TPing into the bottom lane. He's way behind them, too. He's going to pinch them in completely. Well,
the CC goes on to Santorin, though, forcing him away. But Maple Street's got basically nowhere to go. He flashes.
Oh, my God.
Does he get away? Mash got to get in range for the ulti, but it's down now. Wow, in the early Berserker's Greaves, Maple Street's going to keep running away. Flash hook for Sheep! Yes, it is. Dodo's going to die as well. 2 for 0, despite the attempted counter engage onto Santorin. Now Golden Glue's not done either. Okay, he's done.
he had enough of that. The play from his team was just so big. They evened up the gold again with Cali Trolls getting that top turret. Now they have their eyes on this middle turret.
They got to wait for the minion wave, though. Looks like Slushie has enough ability power with almost a death cap that he will be wave clearing successfully.
Cali Trolls is trying to collapse on them, but at the same time, they're very outnumbered.
Yeah, they have at most
20
people.
He pinged it.
Wow. Well,
nope.
His mind told him no. And he listened this time. Easy sweep there from Team Coast. They're going to stay safe on this one, but the rest of the team is basically regrouped at this point. 4 members mid for the blue side and Team 8 have lost that opening in. 200 gold, actually 100 gold now, separates these two teams. Teammate had such a very great early start to the game.
Oh.
Coast pulled it back.
They're going to go.
TF ulti, they're going to look for Rux there, who does not have flash. He has got nowhere to go. Even the white helps out.
They picked him off, but Dragon is in 45 seconds, and Coast has ward coverage of that area. They need to book it down there and take advantage of the fact that Rux, by the time he actually gets to the Dragon Pit, it'll be up for about 5 seconds.
So can Teammate do anything about this? They know they've got a 4-on-5 on the map. The problem is Slushy's not on the correct spot to help them with this one. They look for Sheep. Anyway, in comes the rocket shot. Maple Street Dodo in there as well, but he gets exploded without getting to do anything. The support dies for nothing, and Teammate over-aggressive.
Yeah, Cali Trolls ended up backing. We see Slushy in the top lane still trying to clear. Dragon is in 15 seconds, and you guys don't have ways to get down that quickly. Slushy's basically going to trickle into the fight.
Well, you've got a momentary 4-on-4. Rux doesn't have TP, and he's not yet in range by walking. But look at this for Team Coast. Very smart play. Golden Glue shoves down the mid lane. Good ward shows some of the rotation pass. That's going to be the turret fall, and Team Coast making great plays, and they still have control over Dragon. It's
still even in gold, though, despite that turret going down. It's 4-2 in turrets, but Coast, they just have more gold from kills, and...
And that's the funny thing is outer turrets aren't worth very much more than champion kills themselves.
Got it on Mash. Is he going to take it?
Nope, doesn't go for it there. Out goes the rocket jump, but the Rune Prison lands. Cali Trolls thankfully is not cocooned in time, and out he goes.
Just Teammate is losing their team fight potential now that Coast is caught up, and it's going very even back and forth. Maple Street actually ends up picking up that blue for himself. He also has a red pot too, because he is very aware of the situation where they are getting just beaten right now in terms of rotations and team fights. So if he has that little extra boost to combat stats, he might be able to turn that into kills for his team off the back of a team fight and possibly a turret. So he's going with that investment.
The problem is, though, his investments might be falling out right there. Mash already part way to the static shiv being done, whereas Maple Street's just on the Infinity Edge right now. So that Caitlyn, I mean, we talk about Tristana being a better late-game carry than Caitlyn. You pick up Caitlyn for the lane bullying, but if you're down in items and gold, you just don't have the same damage up with a champion like Caitlyn has if she's got a static shiv when you don't. So a real threat to keep in mind if you're teammate right here.
Cali Trolls walking by, knows that the blue was done, but here comes Sheep, and they gave Thresh to Sheep. How many plays can he make this game? Because he has been on point.
And call him Shakespeare because another play is about to be made there. Cali Trolls going to kick Santorin back, but Rune Prison might just lock him up for 25 to life. Cali Trolls, Cocoon's going to hit him, and down he goes. Golden Glue going to make that one happen. Rampage for the man, 5-1-1.
He ended up using a safeguard right before he got hooked, so he didn't have it available to get over the wall. Has to blow his flash, and he can't get far enough away from the rappel.
Unfortunate for the guy. Unfortunately, Cali Trolls, he's looking for the aggressive plays, but now I've seen a couple times in a row a teammate go for something without much vision. They stick around a bit too long, and somebody gets caught out by Sheep. You said it in pregame. Who gives Sheep Thresh? Teammate do. You see why many teams don't.
Yeah, it's just one of those champions, a signature champion for the guy. It still falls through for him. High kill participation, highest on his team, tied with his 80 carry Mash. And they're just continuing to push down turrets. Cali goes aggressive.
And again, but he takes so much damage every time he does. There is no front line here for Team 8. You've got a Randuin's Zoman. That is the only tank item, like literally in the game for Team 8 right now. They're getting picked apart because of it.
Maple Street was split pushing the entire time, and they keep doing things along these lines. As soon as they start split pushing, Coast actually don't fall into the trap and try to answer it. They go and they just push harder.
That's a really good choice. And the thing is, this is what I love about Yasuo against TF. We've seen this matchup so many times this week in the Challenger Series. Even though I think it's really hard, I think Yasuo is a advantageous pick against TF. Because you block his very obvious wave clear with Wind Wall so that he can no longer defend turrets. It's hard to match the Destiny realm, but if you do get yourself in a decent spot, you just crush turrets and wildcards are useless.
Yeah, and he can keep enough pressure on with his wave clear early on. But speaking... Right over the wall.
Right there. Gold card hits, but Santorin is still around. The Ghost comes in for Slushy, and Forbus Pop's gonna zone away. So Coast, they lose a couple summoners for it, but they do get out.
Flashed over the wall, but Santorin was waiting for him. Maple Street, he's actually going to continue to farm. He hasn't popped his red pot yet because they haven't grouped up for a fight. He's just trying to get farmed, trying to become that late game beast. which is a little different than teammate style. They love to fight, and they love to fight you very frequently.
Well, this might be a time for these guys to settle down a little bit, and CaliTrolls might have to kind of back off some of the farm here and let Maple Street get more of it. If Maple can get 2 lanes and the top jungle, he will eventually slingshot past Caitlyn and damage, and when there is no real front line, a 3-item AD carry just crushes all of the champions in the game. So Santor would have to be careful, Rux would have to be careful, and the team could just peel for Maple Street. We'll see if that ends up being the case right now, though. Team Coast still not allowing much room to breathe, getting rid of as many wards as possible and keeping wards over Baron themselves.
Yeah, the pressure from Coast is phenomenal so far in this game. CaliTrolls is kind of reserved to just roaming around and farming other lanes. And when he goes between lanes, they can see him. He always has to be conscious of that.
Oh, the kick on the Golden Glue, and he's going to hop away.
Get him to about half HP. He does have Blade of the Ruined King, so he can start sustaining himself off camps, or he can back and then come back into the fight. Early Scrying Orb here.
Yep.
Good on Caitlyn.
I like them picked up so that they're ready by the time Baron dances start. I think 20 minutes is probably like the right time to pick the Scrying Orb if you can remember it. I think it's a good time to transition because you kind of leave laning phase by then. And it's going to help Coast a lot if they do have to keep playing this Baron dance game and they ever lose ward control.
They have a lot of ways to just negate abilities here on Coast. The Repel, the Wind Wall. Wind Wall actually blocked Buster Shot in that last little engagement where we saw him kicked forward. Don't know if it would have been enough damage to finish him. Still cute.
Still look cool.
Yeah.
That's really matters in League of Legends. As long as you look cool, it's worth it.
That's why I play Sejuani sometimes.
Hey, she's dressed warmly.
She looks cool.
That's true.
Pair it with a Kennen too. It's just
Why
fun.
not? Here we go. Minions almost going down.
Wow.
One left. Damage comes out before Pops gets stunned.
Look at all those wards that Coast has.
Oh my god.
It's like a light bright.
Yep. It's like a little top, like up to the right arrow a little bit.
This is where the base is. This is where we're sieging.
Good choice.
Right here.
Into the wall.
Into
Past the red buff.
CaliTrolls.
Oh, yep. Into CaliTrolls to go. There's the play. There's the Rune Prison. There's the damage up. But Sheep will go down, but it's a good kill on the top laner. And keep on moving forward. Dodo 8 does go in the front line, but he's going to get dropped back as well. Golden Glue gets in on a Slushy. It's going to be the Golden Zonia's used for that one, but guess what? Still hard counter by Golden Glue, killing your face. It's going to be a 3-for-1.
You saw this in Europe too. The late game Yasuo, or at least the mid game Yasuo, over a Twisted Fate, which didn't get a lot of roams off early to get the lanes going, is just phenomenally better. It's really, really crazy to see the team fight composition versus the pick comp, and how every time we're seeing it in Challenger, usually, more often than not, I'd say like 90% of the time, I'm going to use 3 things there to say that the Yasuo typically comes out on top.
And right now, it's the case. We saw TF lose, I believe, all of their games back in the H2K versus SK Prime matchup, and now we're seeing Team Coast maybe continue this trend here up against Team 8. 26-minute Dragon comes down, 5,000 gold lead. Team Coast definitely looking very good, hoping to push that win rate past 90%.
They're going straight for a Baron, but there's so much vision here from Coast.
This would be a gigantic risk. I don't know if there's a real way to secure this. The health
Dash
bars
me
are
back.
actually reasonable. Wow. Couple recalls come in. Maple Street and CaliTrolls going to try to start this one. Coast, they don't seem too impatient. Sheep is making his way over. Says, guys, they actually are on it. Gets the vision on the health bar. Says, down below half. Guys, hurry up. But the jungler's not around, and Team 8 actually might get the Dragon, or sorry, the Baron picked up for this one. CaliTrolls takes some damage. Baron secured.
Sneaky Baron through all that vision. There's so much vision there in Coast's jungle. I mean, from Coast and Team 8 jungle. It's ridiculous how that was able to just slide by, and then the reaction time was very low. Mashby finished his back, Golden Glue stopped his back and just walked towards mid lane to clear it a little bit. Sheep was kind of the, I guess, sacrificial lamb on that one to walk up and make sure what was actually happening in the pit. And that puts Team 8 right back in this game. They are 3k gold down, but they have temporary combat stats to give them that little boost.
Well, that was really just impatient by Team Coast, because when they went for Dragon, they gave up pressure on the lanes. And that allowed Team 8 to shove them all down. Champions like Twisted Fate, Tristana, they're very good at killing large numbers of minions. Even the Ravenous Hydra, Lee Sin as well. And so, even though Coast had warded the jungle, they hadn't warded the lane, because who does that? I mean, by a large mark, you generally don't ward lanes a lot. You ward them sometimes. And so lanes got pushed in. Coast finished recalling instead of going back to lanes and kind of bookkeeping their lanes. They just recalled where they stood. Teammate pushed in, went down the river instead. And there's no vision that way.
Yeah, Coast kind of like broke teammates' kneecaps and then was like, all right, you stay here. And then Coast went and got the teammate went and got the cops.
Yep.
And they're like, we have backup now. And it's like, wow, I didn't expect you to do that. I didn't know you could still walk.
You know, crutches, maybe wheelchair.
Yep, crawling.
Hey, they made it happen.
Sliding by the vision.
Teammate made it happen. So, back in this game, only a 3,000, actually, heck, 2,500 gold game at this point.
Cali split pushing. Really
back in. And yeah, full offense Lee Sin for now. Warden's Mail grabbed up, doesn't even care about Rise. And it's pretty impressive how much he's managed to dodge those fights. Porpoise Pops comes around as well. Santorin's going to look for something. 4 men strong, but they don't go in for that. Yeah,
and the rotations here from Teammate are something you're going to have to keep an eye on because they're starting to ward up the jungle and just move around it. Cali Trolls will continue to split push. He doesn't have his teleport available, but at the same time, Maple Street has great wave clear and he can siege turrets very quickly. He's going to get hooked again. It's another
hook on a Cali Trolls. Sheeps around, plays him backwards though, says, I don't want to be part of this one. Go ahead and tank that one, not a big problem. Mid lane now getting pushed. Teammate really heavily split pushing. Maple Street's got to be careful though. Tries to jump away. Looks like he'll be safe, but Golden Luke can chase through the minion wave. He could pick up Tristana if he wanted, but the rest of the team is there to defend him.
Yeah, Porpoise Pops clearing that bottom wave, pushing it out. Cali Trolls has to back after all that damage he took. Give ourselves a game here, like we said.
We really do.
The best teams, they go back and forth in games all the time. And I actually made a little mistake. I said they went 2-0 over Coast. They went 2-1 over Coast in the Rocat King of the Hills. So a little amendment to that. And that just shows how close it is. It went to a best-of-3 series.
Right. And you might see the very same thing here. We've seen them trade objectives back and forth. Very smart moves on both sides. The occasional misstep, but just entertaining games all the same. And of course, Team Coast say, well, we're not going to play aggressive while you have Baron buff. I think Coast still knows they have the gold lead overall. But against Baron, not likely. Team 8 grabbing whatever they can with Baron, but they have yet to crack a tier 2 turret.
They're still crawling back in gold. It was 3K at one point. Now it's 2.2K. Team 8 just keeping this very close. 30 minutes in the game, despite being 3 turrets down and 6 kills down. There's still a lot of gold for them to reclaim in turrets.
And we'll see if they can get that gold back in the next few minutes there. Baron buff timing out.
Ooh,
in 30 seconds.
Is actually level 16 already. He's the highest level in the game.
They look for golden glue. Ulti reveals that everyone's around.
Are they going to go for it? They deny the vision.
Windwall going to block a lot of this, but they're going to dive in anyway. Porpoise Pop still gets exploded first. Maple Street on the flank against Mash. Mash forces a flash from, but Cali Trolls finds him, gets the shutdown. More fights going off in the back lines, though. Golden glue goes in towards Slushie and Co. 2 for 2 so far. Out goes Maple Street. Shutdown in for Dodo 8, but Slushie going to fall as well, making that 3 for 2.
Cali Trolls off on the backside. The vision, Porpoise Pop's getting blown up so quickly and removed from the fight. There's nothing really for Coast to take, though, is the thing here. They don't have waves cleared up. They're going to have to just be reserved to taking some jungle camps. But still about a 2.2K gold lead for Coast.
And I think they have the opportunity to make this a little bit bigger as well, to get control back, to set up the Dragon. And actually, Maple's got to be a bit careful. Lantern comes across, not actually in the right... Oh, no, it does get Santorin. I thought he was going for Rux. But nothing picked up.
Dragon in 50 seconds. Watch this. We see Cali Trolls. He actually gets Sheep with this, and he takes it. But Porpoise Pops blown up by Mashme. And then Maple on the right side forces Mash to flash, but he's right in Cali Trolls, who is actually pretty durable from the stacked up members of the team in Hydra and just life-stealing consistently. It was actually pretty crazy. You would expect that the Lee Sin in the middle of some of your damage dealers would have been gone by now. You flash into your back line, you're like, oh, I have company here. Immediately turns on you.
Well, there's the weird thing about these lineups, though, is basically you've got 3 persistent damage dealers on Team Coast. Caitlyn, Yasuo, and Rise. Now, 2 of those can be killed quickly, and in fact, those are the 2 that died last fight. Problem is, Rux, he's going to kind of go single target machine gun on somebody, but he's also not very killable. Teammates very, very burst focused. They have 1 persistent damage dealer in Maple Street, and he was going for Mash, which means Rux largely goes untouched every fight. He is always able to play cleanup, and that is a difficulty that teammates are going to have to deal with, is how do you stop Rise?
Are they going to TP in? Who's going to get it?
Smite picked up there by Porpoise Pops of teammate, but now Cali Trolls is very much caught out. Flay comes in, tries to jump out, not going to be the case. Rux picks up 1, Repel comes into range. Porpoise Pops trying to run, but the Flash Rune Prison comes in time. Spell Shield not going to be enough. Nowhere for Porpoise Pops to go. 2 kills picked up, and 40 seconds of 5v3.
2 kills for the Dragon, and it's only still a 2K gold lead. 2.2 again for Coast, but now they might be able to crack the base and get a turret, depending on the wave clear here and the placements of the wind wall from Golden Glue to block it.
And we're going to see just how much damage they can really deal. They should be able to easily take the inhibitor turret down. Wind wall comes out. Nice, safe minion line there. Sheep shields himself just to make sure it's fine. And the inhibitor likely to follow as well. 15 seconds on the respawn. Coast should be plenty safe here. Oh, nope. They could have chased Luigi, but they're not going for it.
Well, they're not going to get greedy on this. There's 30 seconds on the Baron. They can't really back either. His teammate will rush it. So they're just going to sit in this bush.
Okay, here's the risk. Because all that gold that Coast got couldn't have been spent for the last, like, minute and a half here. Whereas teammate did get to buy when they were pushed into their base. There's actually, I would expect teammate to have a higher inventory value right now than Coast.
It's very close. The ward's being set up. Slushi might back here, but no.
Well, you can see the lesson learned by Coast, though. Right? They don't back. They get the minions back into control, but they realize they can't recall or they lose Baron. Their wards still stand largely. They know it's not being taken down. But at some point, I think Coast needs to make room for Mash or Rux to go back and buy.
Slushi just went back and was able to buy. He has mobility boots on his Twisted Fate. He just rushes straight back. Some members of Coast are actually backing right now.
All right, well, looks like they've bought themselves enough time. These guys feel safe. Teammate can always poke.
Oh, they see the positioning, and they say go.
All right, they're going to ping for it. In comes Yasuo, in comes Thresh, but the damage starting out already for Slushi. There's Kelly Trolls as well, and the damage has started. Ulti onto Dodo. And they say, nope, these guys have gotten in too quickly. Knock up on Kelly Trolls.
That could have been pretty big there. And now 2 half HP members of Team 8.
Teammate are in darkness right now. They've lost all the ward coverage. They don't know where Coast is, I don't believe.
They don't know how low the Baron is. They don't know what's happening. They have no Twisted Fate ultimate, and they don't have a blue trinket either.
Kelly Trolls nearly gets hooked. That means they know they're on Baron. Q comes out. Is there going to be some kind of a steal? No, not going to happen. Team Coast pick it up. Not an ulti means nothing. And Coast pick up Baron. Really good play.
Yep. Now they make the lead about 4,000 gold, 4.2. And they have those temporary combat stats for themselves. Coast in a good position now. 5-1 and 12 on Mash Me. All the kills that's happened, he's only not been involved in 3.
And it's been really good to watch this team sort of work right now. Forwards pops. Oh no, he flashed it, but he doesn't flash far enough. Another kill picked up. That one goes to Mash. Team 8 have not been able to find a way in for a while now, and Coast can look for their second inhibitor.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a very persistent damage team here from Coast, and a lot of people that can't escape on the side of Team 8. Once you're in their grasp, they're going to chase you down.
And the first turret goes down. Now the inhibitor going to drop as well, making this 2 inhibs now for Team Coast. 36 minutes in. Great rotations all game long. Great choices. The one Baron mishap, but they came back from it strongly. Their comp is working very well.
Definitely playing to their strengths here. Using the fact that they were lane swapped on, not as a detriment, but as an advantage, and allowing Rux to just continue pushing up. Catches. They're looking for him. They go for Slushi.
Flasher in prison on a Slushi. Gets the Mikhail's Crucible. Trying to run away, but there comes the engage from Annie as well. Still not going to be quite enough. Slushi just barely gets out. Cali Trolls probably going to take enough damage. The flash from Golden Glue. The knockup won't quite reach Dodo, but the hook catches onto Maple Street, who's forced to flash, then rocket jump away. Team Coast still have minions to push into the base with. He's going to go in towards Dodo now as well. Ulti's still up for Golden Glue if he goes for the knockups there. But they can't just go for the Nexus now.
They're going to go straight for this. They have so much damage on their team. Porpoise Pops locked up.
And there's the ulti in as well, just off the flay. Easy pickup there, 28 kills to 11. 37-minute game in Team Coast with a very commanding game 1, making great plays all game long.
6-1-14 for Mash Me. 8-2-9 for Golden Glue. A lot of great scores there. I'm not going to go through all of them, but top to bottom, fantastic performance from Coast. Rux, super tanky in the end, exactly what they needed. Santorin, he was able to set up some fights. Golden Glue, amazing just skirmish power. And the fact that Mash Me was doing phenomenally well from lane phase to end, it was great. His first buy was a BF sword.
Yeah.
Just didn't let up the pressure.
Well, they got just enough good things happening. Santorin set up those 2 kills in the bot lane that allowed that recall, allowed the item lead, and it just kind of kept snowballing from there. Team Coast, look really good. That's kind of all I can say. Very well-rounded. Sheep's Thresh, I think, cannot come in again, and it surprises me with how well these teams know each other. I know you've got to realize there's many threats everywhere, but you still let Golden Glue get Yasuo, you still let Sheep get Thresh, and you still let Santorin get one of his 2 favorite junglers. When that's what happens after your ban phase and after your first few picks, I've got to wonder what your champ select strategies even are.
Yeah, a lot of the times when I watch teammates, sometimes they'll kind of crumble in their champion select. That's one of their biggest weaknesses in terms of just consistency, is they don't set themselves up for success from champion select in terms of win conditions. Like, this composition looks fine for their style, but the fact that Coast knew this was coming, it wasn't something new that teammate was pulling out. It wasn't something that was going to be able to fight them head on. It was very pick-oriented. It was kind of map control-oriented, but as soon as you take that away from them, they can't really do anything else, and they have to kind of wait on Maple Street to just ramp up. But the fact they got mashed so far ahead at the start was what just shut that one down too. So there was really no way back into this for teammate. They took a Baron, they tried to get a gold lead again, but the fighting power between Yasuo and Ryze just too high.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. The fact that they ended up picking into what I think are actually 3 losing lanes down the line, I think, weak lanes that can't create pressure on their own, really betrays trying to play a pick composition. I don't think it's actually possible there. You talk about their champ select strats fumbling. I kind of agree. The only way they win that game is by outskilling their opponents in lane to get a lead they didn't deserve. And that's a really big concern for me, is you don't have other winning lanes with a TF Nocturne. I don't care if TF wins in mid lane. I care if the other lanes win, so you can do things with it. And it was only the missteps from Coast that really betrayed them there. So got to see what happens the rest of the series. Of course, it is a best of 3. We know that teammate is occasionally very, not unpredictable, not unreliable, inconsistent. And so occasionally they'll lose a game they really probably shouldn't have, or they'll make some decisions that were just kind of silly, but they'll pull it back for the next ones. So I think they can definitely pull back the series. Of course, Team Coast. Thing is, I have nothing new to say about them. They got the things that they wanted, and they played Team Coast. And they're like, yeah, here you go. Sheep's really good on Thresh. FYI, if you didn't know.
Well, he also said that teammates shouldn't lose games. There's some games they shouldn't lose. They should have lost this one, and they did. That's how I come in looking at this one. Because the way that they set up for all of it, it just wasn't very good. We have 0, 4, and 7 on Slushy's Twisted Fate. He just couldn't get going because thinking of Curse Academy, Golden Glue on Yasuo. He was just pushing the wave constantly. You can't roam as a Twisted Fate. You're going to give up your turret. And the Santorin will go ahead and just be like, oh, you roamed bottom? We'll give up a kill there, and I'm just going to take your turret and push in.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is there's so many cool choices that can be made. And I talked a little bit about Yasuo versus TF, how it can be really hard to match the roaming, but you brought up a really good point with Santorin there, where in the game in general, and we actually saw this, for example, with the Baron trade that happened, is you don't have to react to a play by showing up against the play and just butting heads for it. You can react to a dragon by saying, push the waves. Oh, they recalled off dragon. Well, that's a Baron, right? Instead of saying, oh, shoot, they're taking dragon, let's try to fight them and lose more kills, right? That was a good move that teammate made right there. Again, Baron for dragon, that was very smart by them off of pushing waves. Same thing there, as you talked about with Santorin and Golden Glue. If Slushy does leave the lane, was a whole bunch of push pressure from Elise and Yasuo, and you can take a turret for a kill, which is why so often when we talk about when a team picks up a kill, they need to pick up more than just the kill, because you're often giving something up to grab 300 gold somewhere, so it better be worth more than 300 gold.
Yeah, whether it's a dragon, whether it's a turret, or at least just denying like 2-3 waves of experience in CS.
Yeah.
So those are really big factors coming into it.
So now we got to see what the corrections end up being. These guys will, of course, swap sides. Teammate will get blue, means they can't guarantee a top lane counter pick that they love so much.
They'll probably get something pretty powerful, though, on that top lane first pick.
Yeah.
You'd have to ban out Lulu and Gragas, and I think Nidalee as well.
Wow, then do you even leave Cassidy available?
That's the thing.
Yeah, like there's a lot of options available for really strong top lane picks. The attempt for that didn't work out for Teammate, but we'll see if they're going to get something better here on the blue side in Game 2. Guys, going to take a short break, but when you return, it's time for Game 2 between Teammate and Team Coast. Don't go anywhere.